Panda Anthem.
Ian, what's up?
Red Panda Anthem.
Red Panda, what's good?
Red Panda Anthem.
It's your boy.
Yeah. What other assets can go down 90%?
Everyone is going to hate the take, and Rashad and Troy don't agree.
Okay.
Ethereum.
Good old Ethereum.
I know. Mike, clip that up. Send it to everybody. Who is Ethereum's biggest competitor? Not the coin. What entities are they up against? Now, they do have a hell of a market maker and protection mechanism in JP Morgan. I'm going to keep saying that. Hell of a protection mechanism, right? Who is their biggest competitor? And this won't happen for, what year is it? Not until probably 26 or 27 or something like that.
In the crypto space, who's their biggest competitor?
Just in general.
Just in general, like banking institution?
Yeah.
Jay
analysis is going at it, but I'm looking at the players behind the scene.
Yeah, I was going to say,
the game and 50 thing wasn't really about them. It was about the powers that be behind.
Yeah, the crypto space, I'm gonna let you tell the world, but I was obviously saying Cardano, Solana.
He's saying in the banking industry.
Yeah.
Solana is not really a competitor to Ethereum, I don't think. But all right, who is it?
To give a better analogy, most of these cryptos are artists. Which hedge funds are the labels to them? So I was with Dom Kennedy this weekend. Kudos to the king. It's a lot of artists that act like they're not signed right now, playing an independent thing, and they're signed like crazy. Same thing is happening in crypto because hedge funds are basically saying, you're either going to allow us to have a partnership or strategic alliances together, or you may not make it. And you're also competing against the government and Federal Reserve too.
Right. So then the back of the hedge fund would be JP for them. Right. In your turn, and from your analogy, right? Either you're gonna let us be part of this or you might not make it.
Get down and lay down. Then they made their win. Yeah. That's one. So go look at who Solana's been meeting with and what protect. So even with Bitcoin, and now everyone's like, yo, we weren't talking about the currency. We were talking about the blockchain technology. If 14 entities own majority share of the blockchain, doesn't that give them controlling interest of an entity and property? Or no? When people think decentralization, they're thinking of one. If I own CNN, Fox, ABC, TLC, so I can put out 90 Day Fiancé Part 2, and I split it up amongst all our kids, and I just don't own it, do we not still have a network? Okay. But I don't know anything. I'm not in crypto. I'm not a master. I've learned too. Entrepreneurs, please write this down. The best information that you have, keep to you and your friends. One thing that really freed me, my dad was like, you're only responsible for taking care of Xander and a couple of friends. You got to say the world. You did that already. Do your research though. Once again, do you think, in every industry this happens, do you think that any industry, person, entity, asset, or intellectual piece of property will get so hot that they won't force a way into? You saw what happened with 50 and Jimmy Iovine. 50 was the hottest thing smoking on Interscope. Shout out to everybody who worked in the building. When he put out SMS audio, boy, Jimmy was like, this is my exit. I'm going to kill you at all costs. Happened. Even the Kanye 50 debate, man, orchestrated by Iovine to not help him, to ruin his perception of him being a A-class act. Ripple. I'm gonna let y'all do the research though.
Okay. I'm following you.
When we talk after though.
Yeah. I see people putting in the comments as well, and I was starting to think as I'm hearing you talking, I see where you're going with this. So you're saying, and this would be interesting, like when we talked about follow the signal. So when you see a brokerage like Fidelity saying like, hey, we're going to allow Bitcoin to be, or cryptocurrencies, are we now looking at which ones are actually going to be allowed on their brokerage firm?
Yeah,
because there's obviously going to be an interest inside of that.
I mean, the demand is
it's high.
and
And
demand.
yeah, and then when
Bitcoin is
people
always
like
going to be supreme.
absolutely,
Bitcoin supreme.
and when people like with BlackRock and Citadel teamed up to destroy your job is to destroy all competition. This is like, you guys want the truth or you want the Carlton Banks version of shit? The truth is, any considerable threat, you destroy entire lineage. That's why for those
48 laws of power.
For those of you that want to be in pharma, banking, hedge fund, media, world politics, there is no such thing as true freedom unless you dance in between that $5 to $14 million space where you're not too big of a threat to the big boys and you're just out of the trenches. You get to that 25 to 100, you have to pay a toll road. And we see music industry is a prime example. Every artist, man, what can I do to break through? What kind of music you do? Rap. Okay. You need a gangster behind you. And the beats, who gonna protect you? You going into business with some of the biggest gangsters on earth, you need a gangster to protect you. You seen Tekashi got snatched up, Wack got in his pockets, the other young boys back in his pocket. Boy, you negative without a hit. Wack getting 50%, other boys getting 50%. What?
He gonna make a diss record about you.
That's it, Ian.
That's fine. That helped me hold our Facebook out. I'll promote it. Let me know a week before you do it so I can get my YouTube, SoundCloud, and Facebook advertising budgets together, and we can run this into the ground.
He'll be on Clubhouse in T-minus 17 minutes talking about this. So
that's fine.
We got you.
Why don't you talk about people in his pockets? Talk about a 360. Boy got a 520.
Round and
you need
round.
protection in some of these industries. It is warfare. And it's different when quantitative easing was going. The capital was flowing. Everyone was getting funded. Fundamentals didn't matter. I was listening to Josh's show and Jan was on. I was like, yo, some of the companies that were getting funded were going off 50 times earnings, 70 times earning. And Rivian, the prime example, you hadn't produced a car yet. Let y'all have put out Rivian and no car. Boy, YouTube think pieces all day. Have they given up on a culture and all that? Rivian do it. Y'all don't say nothing. Let me have perform like Kathy. And I love Kathy. I'm going to be real. A lot of y'all didn't even know who Kathy was before I mentioned her. She was Styles P. She was ghostwriting a lot of them portfolios. And as soon as she became a threat, Walter White, Jesse Pinkman, the person that brings drama, negativity, is seen too much, your competition is going to want to kill you. You now are seeing it with Michael Saylor. You think all of a sudden a stable coin called a crypto crash? No, Mike got too popular. They know that 21,000 level is key. That's why you now hear people saying 20,000. They want to squeeze his ass out the market and destroy MicroStrategy. This is warfare. That's why Buffett puts on a happy little smile and eat them little candy and just say, I don't know. Me and Charlie, it's a great show. Great show. Greatest shark of all time.
That's a fact. And if you didn't, you're trying to figure out what we spoke about MicroStrategy last week when we were talking about points and places to get in some of these investments. Yeah. Obviously 21 was the number, but yeah, I've seen 20 earlier today as well.
I was always taught you kill an ant with a sledgehammer.
Absolutely.
Don't let that go over your head. All right. So last week, Troy, you talked about Rivian. Yeah. You talked about shorting. And
nobody sent me any reparations for that. Shout out to all of y'all out there.
Yeah, boy, you know how I feel now, right? Boy, some of y'all,
The first day that he had said to me when I saw him, was that Wednesday? Wow. Yeah, like I said, follow the signals. And so we kind of were like, well, what's next? I'm not sure I left the Rivian train yet, as far as making puts on it. And we saw the earnings, and yeah, they have 17 billion in cash, but they also made, I think, 5,000 cars, right? And so they made 5,000, but 500 of them got recalled in that announcement. And so, like, okay, that's one thing. Then last night or early this morning, we saw that Ford sold more shares. So now they have 15 million shares that they sold. And now there's another lawsuit with the supply of seats from delivery vans. So that order of Amazon that they put 100,000 vehicles in order to be made for them. And their goal is, they're saying the goal is still to have 25,000 trucks by the end of this year. I mean, you have supply chain issues, you have lawsuits, you have the supply of your seats now suing you.
So you think it could possibly go lower?
It dropped 7% today.
It's up in after hours, 6 cents.
Everyone put in chat the price that I said that it would drop to. If we all collectively agree, home run. Y'all gonna start paying this money on the back end though.
Yeah, shout out to everybody. And I don't, like I said, like I don't really trade on a daily basis, but sometimes when I look at the signals, I'm just like, all right, these are the signals, these are the signals. And I think we got up to like, I think we up to like 70% gain in like maybe 5 hours. I'm like, all right, well, again, number one, this is true. And shout out to G, my brother. We were just talking to each other. He's like, do I get out now? I'm like, well, what was the entry point? Was it 50%? Was it 20%? If you already passed it, get out. And then we saw what their earnings, and obviously the price went up. So, it's just valuable things and knowing your plan before you enter a position.
Yes, please write the plan down before you enter the battlefield, because what happens is your trade goes against you. Anybody ever traded and then everything you plan to do, you do the exact opposite and you feel like you have no clue what's going on?
Yeah.
That's why it's important to write down. Like even for my traders, Sharpie, if you are hard-headed, dry erase marker, if you're disciplined, literally mark off the areas in which you want to get in.
And this is why it's so important. On Tuesday, I think they reported on Wednesday last week, but on Tuesday, as it was going down and it hit these numbers, I literally watched it from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock every minute. And I watched it at the peak. I think my put was at up 75%. I'm like, all right, well, my number was 60, so I'm out of here, right? I literally watched as it got closer to 4. It was down to 60%, 55%, 40%, 35%. I said, I'm praying that everybody got out, because the way that it was dropping, obviously people took their profits, but there's going to be a surprise when they drop these earnings. And we saw it happen. We saw the numbers go up, but there's still signals there that this is not something, like they call it the dead cat bounce. Like it has a nice tick up or a slight tick up and then it goes back. I think we're in that position right now with Rivian. Not saying that it won't work long term. I'm not saying it won't work long term. I'm just saying right now they don't have the product yet.
How many trades have you taken
this year?
6.
It's under 10. I'll say it's under 10 for sure.
There's a solution and answer even in that. I put in Telegram when the video is going off. You guys tell me, if you take 15 trades in a year and get 20% on each trade and you win all of them, how much is that? Everybody that can trade can get more than 20%. What happens? You get up 50%, 80%, and then you start acting crazy or ego trading. I don't even need to follow those signals or look at fundamentals. For all of you who like, yo, what should I look at first? Month first. How many times have I said it? My new thing is you tell me. I've answered this. But if you don't, you need a checklist like a pilot before you take off. If it don't meet your parameters, let it go. And this is why I tell you to be patient. And we'll talk about the great reset at one point. I want to get my bags first and be real, but we'll talk about it at one point. But a lot of technology companies and old capitalists and old investors are going to get wiped out to usher in new wave of technology and new class of investors. That's why I tell you, if you study those Benner cycles, you can see the ebbs and flows. Energy literally was the technology sector before tech got big. And if it's the power of long-term investing, I put this in Telegram too, Stock Club, I won't say too much else. If you invested at the top of the market in 99, it took you 14 years to break that all-time high. 14 years. But if you held for 20, you would be up 300 to 400% and rich as hell if you bought every month. Investing is not hard. We just make it difficult.
This that Red Panda Anthem.
Ian, what's up?
This that Red Panda Anthem.
Red Panda, what's
This
good?
that Red Panda Anthem.
It's your
Whole
boy.
clique going up. I know they can't stand it.